DraftKings Sportsbook. Y'all know we got major love for them. I'm talking about the top-rated sportsbooking app in the U.S. Safe, secure, but more importantly, Deke, just like you, it's reliable, baby.
Thanks for the compliment.
Come on, man. I don't have to compliment you when I'm just being honest. But we know, man, the season is here, and there is no better way to watch some of these games than by having a little bit of extra incentive to pay attention to it, because we know at times when you invest in some of these games, whether it be same game parlays, single game parlays, player performances and things like that. I mean, it's a lot that you could be paying attention to.
Has them all.
They definitely do. And for the places, because we know a lot of y'all are in, all over the world, but in certain places you can't use the sports booking app. I get that, but they also have a fantasy football as well, where you're able to bet on those on particular matchups each and every week, and also have a little bit of fun as well, man. So we definitely want to salute DraftKings for that. But more importantly, y'all need to make sure you're downloading that app. All right, if you haven't done so just yet, download the app, and then what you need to do is this: you gotta use this promo code. You know what the promo code is, man?
It's pretty easy to remember.
I think so.
I sit next to the guy. It's
Oh,
Moats.
It's that simple. MOATS. You use that promo code. Your first bet for $5. That's all you got to put a $5 bet in. You're going to get $200 in free bets. $200 in free bets. Essentially, that's free money. So with that being said, you know what to do. Don't waste time. Use the promo code. Download that app. Put that $5 bet in there. And then after that, go ahead, get that free money and go to work. But, Deke, we also know this, man. At times, some people struggle with this thing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
At times, some people might have some problems.
Right.
Well, as you look on the screen right now, you see some information up there, some numbers you could call, number you could text. But more importantly, there's another phone number up there.
Yeah.
And it goes by 1-800-GAMBLER. I say 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let's go, UW. So much for the offensive line not being able to be worse. Should have took a lineman in the first.
Yeah, that is a thing that we keep coming back to. Can't be any worse. Now, I will...
this one can't be.
Yeah, but I'll start by saying this, man.
It can't be.
We'll start by saying this, though. We talked about this on Wednesday's show. We said that Jaguars defensive line is really
Right.
good. They're really deep as well. And this would be a legitimate test for our offensive line. We said that the offensive line could come out there and show us that they're really good if they, hold up against this group, or we know we need a lot more work. And it just so happens that they need a lot more work. But let's be real about it. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen should be kicking Dan Moore's butt. If he's not, that would be like us looking at TJ Watt playing against a rookie and saying, hey, man, you can't cook this fourth rounder that's a rookie? Like, what's wrong with you? When you talk about a Trevon Walker, when you talk about an Arden Key, you talk about those type of players, those are all high pedigree draft picks. Those are guys that the Jags are banking on leading that unit down there. So if they weren't out here having some success, if you're Jacksonville, you're looking at them dudes sideways. Now, for us, we knew that, hey, man, we have a revamped offensive line. This is going to be the first time where all five will be in stadium together and things like that. But even still, we don't know, or I feel like prior to this game, we didn't know 100% who was going to be in that starting left guard spot. I think that kind of got cleared up, got cleared up right away after about 2 series. It was clear. It was like, all right, we got the answer now. So other than that, though, I do think that this offensive line, man, they're going to take a little bit longer. It's one of those things where offensive line, it can be difficult to play at times. And we know that they're still a very young group, but we also said that they're returning 3 out of the 5 starters from a year ago. And depending on, how you count Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson, 4 of those starting 5 offensive linemen are out there, So in that context, it still necessarily isn't a big revamp. We just spent nice on Chooks, and then we obviously brought in James Daniels, who definitely struggled as well. But I will also say with all 5 of those guys, or 6, including Kendrick Green, the crazy part is this, bro. Watching them, again on tape, each of them had plays and had moments where it looked good.
Yeah,
And
the first play for Green, I was like, oh, wow,
absolutely.
he's holding his own.
And then each of them had plays where it looked horrendous. And that's my only thing, and I hate to say it, but this is the same thing from a year ago when we said popcorn. We say, yo, it's like popcorn. It's not all 5 of them playing bad every snap. It's not the same player playing bad every snap. First, okay, it's Chooks. Then it's James Daniels. Then it's Mason Cole. Then it's Kendrick Green. Then it's Kevin Dotson. Then it's Dan Moore. It's like each of them take turns having a bad play or two, and it just so happens that when they have that bad play, it's like, oh,
Sometimes
we had a
it's
chance
2 of
for it
them
to be
on
a
one
good
play too.
Absolutely. So that's some of the stuff that's happening right now. And to me, a lot of that still reflects back to the youth part and the consistency of playing at the NFL level. And also a reminder that it does not matter what you did last year. And this is more importantly directed to Dan Moore and Kendrick Green in a sense. Who cares how many games you started last year? It doesn't matter. Each season is a brand new season. So you can't come in here thinking, well, I blocked Myles Garrett last year. I blocked this guy last year. I'll be just fine this year, because that's not how the NFL works. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And that's why I'm always one of those people that's like, yo, I want to see it. I want to see if you gotten better. I want to see you out there practicing, because you can't take certain things for granted. And I thought that with this O-line, it just showed that I do think at times it has been taken for granted that because we spent money on that unit, that it's just going to miraculously be better. And it's like, nah, they still got to go out there and execute every single snap. And when they don't at that particular position, it shows. And it just so happened that it showed in a major way on Saturday night.
Yeah. I just feel like if we bring in Mason Cole, Daniels, the extra year for Dan Moore, having Dotson in over Kendrick Green, like it can't be. It can't be. Maybe this is the last time I will say this. If it somehow does become worse, I will eat my words and never talk about a unit can't be worse from last year because of all this other stuff. But I won't believe it.
Well, I'll say this. So let's break down the context, though, right? Chooks. Last year with Chooks, we said that, man, okay, he was really good in pass protection. We said not a lot of movement in the run game. So when you watched him on Saturday, I thought that he had some good pass reps. Was a chance for us to have a nice run if he makes his block, but he doesn't. He misses his block. The linebacker's able to shoot the gap, make the tackle. Was on a toss play to, I want to say, right sideline watching the game. It's like stuff like that where you're like, well, dang, man. But are we surprised by that? No. That's what he struggled with before. Kendrick Green, what do we say about him? Great effort, fast, but he's small. Well, what exactly were we looking at on Saturday at times? He looked, little again, right? Still, no surprise. Dan Moore. Man, when he was going against Myles Garrett, we said, woo, Myles is winning. The difference is what? Ben is getting rid of that ball now. Well, it just so happened that we weren't getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds. We were actually trying to have some developing routes because it was early in the game before we realized that the offensive line was going to struggle like that. So Dan gets exposed early. But that's not new. We've seen him get beat with that speed rush off the edge. We've seen that before. So once again, it's like, are we really surprised? James Daniels struggled early on in the season in Chicago. Late 6 game round, like game 6, 7, 8. That's when he started to pick it up, played a lot better. But he's still a very young player. I think he's 24 years old. Mason Cole at times looked small in Minnesota. Slightly bigger than Kendrick, but at times he looked like he got bullied at times. But you could still see enough of the positive plays. That's why you say, okay, we could pay this. We see enough of the positive plays that you say, hey, man, I know this is in there, but we've seen a lot more of this, so we're going to bank that we're going to get more of this. Well, they're still getting up to speed as well. So that's the other part that we got to remember. During OTAs and minicamp, they don't get the same amount of reps like, or the quality reps of like these quarterbacks, these receivers, these running backs, these linebackers, right? Because they can't play physical ball. So through all OTAs and minicamp where you're still doing 7-on-7, coverage, receivers, quarterback, you're getting reps, right? What the O-line doing? Man, they over there talking and they walking through steps. Hey, we're punch. All right, get back. Boom, boom, punch. And that's cool, but it's different when you're actually playing football. So to me, I just look at this as a part of that development. It's a part of their timeline. And also we have to remember that Jaguars team, that's their 3rd preseason game. So they're pretty much tuned up. They're ready for the regular season. That was our 2nd preseason game.
Yeah, they might sit.
It's a little different
next week.
Absolutely. So for us, that's the other context that I was like, when I'm watching the game, I'm like, okay, I understand it's looking like this. I understand we feel like this, but that also matters in the preseason. And then the last thing I would say is for Matt Canada, and I understand that with Matt Canada, it's the preseason. I thought that he made the adjustment when Kenny came in, but that was after 2.5 series from Mitch.
3, yeah.
My thing is, I would just want to know, were you doing that just because it was the 2-minute element of it? Or is that something that we'll be able to turn to early in games if the O-line is struggling? Because when the O-line struggles, the way you combat that is quick game and hurry up. And that's what they did when Kenny came in. They moved the pocket the first play with the rollout to the left. After that, they went quick game screen to the right. You had they ended up penalty and then punting, but then that next drive they went to the 2-minute. You hit Deontay on the slant, he almost splits it, pat back to back, and now before you know it, you got something rolling. But that rush couldn't get to him. That rush couldn't affect them because of that. And even when they tried to say, okay, well, you're going tempo, well, blitz, that's when you hit pat. So once again, it was just like, man, okay, Matt Canada, if that's in your wheelhouse, well, let's introduce that a little bit more. And let's introduce that a little bit sooner when you see this O-line struggling the way that it is. They also brought in bigger personnel groupings, so they would have 2 tight ends on Dan Moore's side to give him a little bit more protection. That was something that they didn't do for Mitch, and it was something that they started to do at the end of the third quarter for Mason. They didn't do it when he first came in, but towards like 2-minute mark and then going into the fourth where he has like the nice drives and stuff like that, that's when he started to take that approach. So for me, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe this is a Matt Canada thing where, you know, he's getting up to speed in terms of how quickly he needs to identify something to make an adjustment. But to me, in my perspective, I just don't agree with, if the O-line is struggling like that on that opening series, why are you coming back and still trying to have these guys single protection dropping straight back? If you saw how Dan Moore got beat on that first play, you saw how Kendrick Green looked, you know already, bro, we can't come back to that right now. Maybe we'll try it in a series or 2, but we can't do it right now. And to me, it was just kind of like, almost like the I don't believe it on that first series. Oh, it ain't that bad. We could do it again. And then we saw what it looked like that second series. So that's the part for me where I would look at Matt Canada and just say, why are you waiting? Like, if that's what you're capable of, don't wait 3-4 series in here to do that. Go ahead and do it now, because the difference too in the regular season is our defense, we were able to get field goals right there. But we know, man, it's not always going to work out like that. Some of those drives are going to be touchdowns. And now if we're sitting here down 14, it's a totally different conversation.
We got lucky with Cam Sutton.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Dropping it.
So that's my thing. It's like, we know when we're putting all this into the framework of how we win, these are some of the things where you're like, man, it doesn't seem significant, but that is significant, because we can't always bank on field goals in that red zone. We can always bank on a drop or an overthrow. Like, that's the reality of it in terms of how we're going to have to win this year at times.
Yeah. So that actually plays into my thought a little bit of, there's no way this line could be worse. Just because the thought of, hey, we had Kendrick Green at center all last year. If we just bring in Mason Cole, that's
an upgrade.
I'd say James Daniel at this point in his career, upgrade over Trey
I would
Turner.
agree with that as well, yes.
Dawson healthy at left guard. You're hoping Dan Moore takes that step. But I like your whole point of just, you have to execute. It's not a given that all that stuff's going to happen. And also Chooks getting this contract, he's supposed to be in the prime of his career too. He should only be getting better. Even though he has limitations, worst case, that's a wash. Chooks should be at least what he was last year, right?
Absolutely.
You can't be getting worse. So that's why I think the O-line just should be better.
Yeah. And
yesterday didn't look good, but I liked all the stuff you brought up. And that it's early. It's preseason. You got to start gelling.
The context is real. Like, I know our initial emotions in that moment is, man, let's freak out, bro. This is terrible. And I know even when you think about it 2 days later, you're like, bro, we sucked. But it's certain things when you do go back and watch it on tape, you're like, no, this can work, but this is how we have to do it. I've already seen, okay, y'all had an answer. That O-line, we kept the same O-line in there until the start of the third quarter. And then we took off James Daniels and Chooks. Then they left Dan Moore and Kevin Dotson in there for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did, because I thought that the way Dan had played earlier, he needed to be out there, because just as a veteran, when you're in preseason, man, it's like you want to play, but you don't want to play. I want to go out there, play 2 to 3 series, go out there and get you a sack or do something dope, and after that, pull me out. You don't want to play 3 quarters of no preseason game.
TJ specialty.
Absolutely. The definitely TJ. As soon as he got the sack, I said, he's done for the day. Yep, love that. That's what you need. But when you talk about how Dan was playing earlier and how Kendrick Green played earlier, and then even when Dotson came in, he even struggled initially. It's like, nah, man, you got to keep those guys in there. But we also have to remember that they're young. This isn't like when it was the Pounceys, the Ramones, and the DeCastros, and the Owls, or the Beechams, and the Gilberts, and we're like, okay, they're struggling right now, but it's more health related. We got to get these guys healthy. This group isn't a health-related group. This group is I need reps group. I need experience group. When the guy that we're banking on being our best offensive lineman, James Daniel, is still a young player who hasn't seen a ton of football. When you talk about Chooks supposed to be in our second best or arguably our best offensive lineman just based on the money part of it, he's still a young guy that we're 2 years. And we still were having questions at times. We were all a little surprised at the amount of money that they committed to him. But because of the money, it made us all shift our thoughts of, okay, nah, he's not a work in progress. He's a finished product. He's getting 10 a year. But that's not how it works. They just had to pay what they had to pay. But at the end of the day, he still has room to grow. And that's the part when we're talking about our expectations for this group. That's where we have to still understand that and not get too hype or too freaked out on it.
As long as they're not as bad as last year.
Yeah.
That's my main thing.
They should not be as bad as last year.
Just get into that top 20.
I don't think they'll be as bad as last year, but I also think Matt Canada will be able to do a little bit more to help them in contrast to last year. Just like I said, man, when they called that rollout to move the pocket for Kenny, I was like, yo, we couldn't get that last year with 7. And I understand that, yeah, 7 could jog 2 to 3 to the left, but it wouldn't be that same tempo, right? Because what you're trying to do is make that DN be wrong. That DN is flying upfield, so it's like, yo, we're going to hook him. We're going to get him, hook him. He's inside now. We got this quarterback outside on the box. Now you got a run-pass option if you want to. That's not what Ben was capable of. But now Matt Kennedy can call that type of stuff. So when he called that, as soon as Kenny comes in, I'm like, I love that call. Because it negated that rush. It gave Kenny an easy time to throw. That's when he hit George Pickens. And now we're like, okay,
the first one.
We're moving.
Pick it to Pickens.
Absolutely. Now we're moving. But it's those type of things that will allow this O-line to be better while they're improving, while they're still young. The moving of the pocket right and left. Not allowing that quarterback to just drop back to a stationary spot and let these just D linemen just fly and rush off. Because there's certain games you go in as a DN or as a D lineman and you're like, bruh, this quarterback can't move. We racing to a spot. We know this O-line ain't going to hold up. But then you get into some games and it's like, it should be like that. And you come in, it's like, bro, it's roll out to the left, roll out to the right. Bunch sets. You know why you run bunch sets? It makes your D lineman, your DN in particular, outside linebacker,
I might need
rush.
to take notes right now. This might help me for Madden.
But that's what you do. You go bunch. You know, you condense it. You want a lot of guys on the edge of the line of scrimmage, even if they're not in the tight end position, just around the C area, because it makes those outside linebackers and DNs have to mess with their alignment, whether you're going super wide or you're going to be super tight. But either way, it allows that tackle time. It allows that tackle to get a better angle. And those are some of the things that I do anticipate seeing a lot more of, just based on what Matt Canada showed in that little 2 series with Kenny. I was like, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. That's going to be something that we'll roll with.
All right, more bunch formations.
Yeah.
I'll look for it because there's a lot of man blitzing going on right now in Madden.
It's a lot of man blitzing. You got to get some
bad.
crosses popping, bro. Them crosses will kill you in the man. Or you double.
You want to talk about the real life Steelers line? I mean, mine's about 10 times worse than this Ultimate.
Man.
It's bad. I'm starting 70 overalls right now.
Oh man, that's rough.